At the beginning of the story, we see some children running through a forest because they are being chased by very large monsters. The children reach the middle of the forest, but there seems to be no way to continue. At that moment, a girl named Natalia begins to distract the monsters to save her friends. Although Natalia's friends had been scared into silence, the monsters attack Natalia. Natalia suffers severe injuries all over her body, but no one knows that Natalia is actually the daughter of a goddess named Poseidon. To save Natalia's life, the god Poseidon transforms her entire body into a giant tree. Once the tree is in place, an invisible barrier forms around the forest, preventing any enemies or monsters from entering, thus protecting everyone in the forest. Years pass, and all the children who had been there have grown up. They all need to complete their training, which they had started preparing for since childhood. We are then introduced to a skilled boy named Percy Jackson, who performs much better than the other children. One day, a strange boy with only one eye arrives at their camp. When questioned, the boy reveals that his name is Tyson and that he is also the son of Poseidon. Upon hearing this, the camp leader calls Percy Jackson, as Percy is also a son of Poseidon. Percy did not know he had a brother, but the two quickly bond. However, Tyson soon senses something wrong and discovers that someone is trying to break the invisible barrier. All the students gather, although they believe that the barrier is too strong to be breached. But soon, a massive robotic sound is heard as the barrier is broken and a giant robot enters, attacking the students. Everyone starts fleeing to save their lives, and it seems that someone must be controlling the robot. Tyson tries very hard to stop the out-of-control robot with his powers, but he still wasn't fully aware of what was happening. Percy Jackson continued to try and stop the robotic monster. There was a moment when Percy's life was at risk. In time, Percy pulled out a magical pen and threw it into the monster's mouth. The pen transformed into a giant sword that destroyed all the robot's systems. Percy had managed to defeat the monster, but another major problem arose. With the barrier broken, Natalia, who had been transformed into a tree years ago, began to slowly die. If the tree that Natalia had become dies, the protective barrier around the forest would also disappear. Everyone was shocked by this news, but Percy discovered that the student Luke had poisoned the barrier from within, as he had been on the path of evil from the beginning. Percy and his friends needed to act quickly, because if Natalia's tree died, the protective barrier would never be restored. Percy went to a wise woman in the camp who could make prophecies. She revealed a prophecy about Percy Jackson and told him that long ago, a powerful titan named Kronos had ruled Earth with cruelty, wanting to destroy all gods and humans. Kronos had been defeated by 3 great gods, but according to the prophecy, Kronos would return, and this time, he would destroy all the gods. The prophecy also mentioned that to free Kronos, Poseidon's 2 sons would fight each other. The outcome of this battle would determine the fate of the world. Either it would be saved, or Earth would be destroyed. Percy shared this information with his leaders after discussing the prophecy extensively. They realized that Luke was also a son of Poseidon and had the potential to engage in a fierce battle with Percy. Meanwhile, Percy, Annabeth, and Grover found a plan to revive Natalia's tree. To do this, they needed to obtain the golden fish, which would provide the tree with the energy to rejuvenate it. When their leader learned about this plan, the leader informed his entire team about the quest for the golden fish, which was hidden in the Bermuda Triangle's distant beach. No one who had gone there had ever returned, making it a challenging task to obtain the golden fish. Despite this, the leader saw the plan as very promising and thought it was better to proceed with it. To take full credit for the plan, the leader presented it to the other children as if it was his own idea. He then sent a girl he knew to retrieve the golden fish. However, Percy, Annabeth, and Grover decided that they should join the quest as well. They felt it was better to work together on this mission. On their way, they encountered Tyson, who insisted on joining them. Although Percy was initially reluctant, they eventually agreed to include Tyson in their group. Annabeth managed to procure a magical taxi driven by 2 very dangerous ghosts. The group boarded the enchanted vehicle and, after a brief but intense journey, arrived in France. Shortly after their arrival, they were separated when Luke took Jack away. Percy, Annabeth, and Tyson were left to figure things out on their own. Annabeth had an idea to find Luke. They went to a news production company where Luke's father worked. Luke's father, frustrated with his son's actions, revealed his location to Percy and Annabeth and gave them some specialized medical devices to help locate him underwater. Since the location was in the middle of the ocean, getting there quickly was no easy task. Tyson, being Poseidon's son, reached out to his father for help. Suddenly, a massive creature emerged from the water, allowing the three of them to ride on it. They completed the journey in seconds, arriving at the location where they began searching for Jack. Unfortunately, it seemed that their bad luck continued. The UK team included very dangerous creatures, and Percy, Annabeth, and Tyson were confronted by Luke. Percy kept asking where Jack was, and Luke revealed that he had placed Jack in a dangerous part of the Bermuda Triangle from which no one had ever returned alive. Percy questioned why Luke was doing all this, and Luke explained that he also needed the golden fish to revive the Titan King's oracle. Luke had some massive remains of the oracle, and if the golden fish was placed on these remains, the oracle would come back to life. Luke had captured Tyson and Annabeth, but Percy remembered a gadget given to him by Luke's father. Using a magical pen, Percy placed it around the bars of the cell, making them disappear. Percy, Annabeth, and Tyson managed to escape from the cell and continued towards their destination. After several hours of travel, they reached the Bermuda Triangle. Soon, their ship was surrounded by sharks, creating a whirlpool as they circled around. In the midst of all this chaos, Percy and Tyson found their powers diminished, as powers were nullified within the Bermuda Triangle. They discovered that the sharks were not ordinary, but rather the mouth of a giant sea monster. The three of them had ended up inside the giant monster. Inside, they realized that anyone who had ever come to the Bermuda Triangle must have been consumed by this giant monster. The monster had also swallowed the oracle's remains, but now it was destroying all the food it had consumed. Percy and his friends had to act quickly, otherwise, they would meet their end due to the monster's sharp teeth. Percy and his team devised a plan and began firing at a vulnerable spot on the monster. Their continuous attacks managed to pierce the monster's stomach, allowing them to escape. Now, Percy and his friends arrived at a location where they were supposed to find the golden fish. It was a massive cave, and as they entered, they encountered a huge monster with one eye. To their shock, their friend Jack was inside, disguised in a monster costume. Jack had worn the costume to avoid being recognized by the one-eyed monster. If the monster discovered that Jack was a human, it would devour him completely. The golden fish was visible on the monster's shoulder, so Percy and his friends tried to retrieve it. Unfortunately, due to bad luck, the monster noticed them and began to chase them relentlessly. Percy and his friends narrowly escaped, and despite their efforts, Percy managed to acquire the golden fish. However, when they returned to their location, Luke and his entire team arrived. Luke threatened Percy, demanding that he return the golden fish or face dire consequences. Percy refused to comply, so Luke aimed a weapon at him, but it felt like bullets to Percy. Tyson intervened to protect his brother, getting severely injured and falling into a ravine. The enemies took the golden fish from Percy, and it seemed that the situation was dire. Percy was left feeling guilty because Tyson's injuries were his fault, and he feared that the oracle's revival could lead to the end of the world. However, Annabeth and Jack motivated Percy, and the three of them decided to fight against Luke and his allies. They engaged in battle with the enemies, and Percy was fighting Luke one-on-one. Just as Percy was about to be defeated, Luke was suddenly attacked from behind, and the person holding the sword was none other than Tyson. Tyson, enraged, threw Luke away, revealing that he was Percy's half-brother and explaining everything. When Tyson fell into the water and was injured, his father, who was a sea god, came to his aid. If Percy also trusted Poseidon, he would receive help too. After absorbing the power of the golden fish, the oracle broke its tomb and revived, becoming enormous. Luke went to the oracle, claiming credit for awakening it. However, the oracle did not recognize Luke and consumed him alive. Meanwhile, the oracle began causing widespread devastation. Percy's sword, which was a divine weapon of Poseidon, began glowing on its own. This sword held immense power. Percy used it to attack the oracle, cutting off a part of it, which turned into water. The remaining oracle was sealed back in its tomb. Percy realized that with a magical sword, he could defeat the oracle. Percy directly struck the oracle's chest with the sword, transforming its entire body into water, which trapped it in its tomb forever. Thus, Percy and his friends had managed to eliminate a great threat, restoring balance to the world. Percy brought the golden fish back to Natalia, who had turned into a tree. By placing the golden fish on her, Natalia's fading powers were fully restored. The golden fish's powers rejuvenated Natalia, and after many years, she transformed back into a human. She felt as though she had just woken up from a long sleep, astonished by how much time had passed. Seeing Percy and his friends grow so much made her very happy. Now, the protection of the jungle was reestablished, ensuring everyone's safety. And so, our story ends here.